Welcome, and thank you for hanging on while we ran out, got some drinks, and washed the blood off our hands. As the pack has lay wait to a whole bunch of trolls and redcaps and other creatures of the Fae, as they have basically broken into a freehold that was literally under siege when they arrived. Uh,
Point of order, we had a key. We did not break in.
The door opened for me.
That's true.
Speak friend and ah! um, yes, you've just dropped the last troll that was on the ground floor. As you made your way in, there are several hurt members of House Scathage as well as House Lanan. Most Lanan were Boggins and Satyrs and appeared to be non-combatants, which most of the Scathage were actually armed with weapons as if they were the house guards of the Freehold. As you make your way up, a couple of the House Scathage members vanish. They literally blink out of existence in flashes of light.
That's not good.
Like I said, you were hearing sounds of combat upstairs, and you make your way to the landing. Just double check and make sure you're on the same map that I'm on. The landing. As you get to the landing, the stairs go up and go to a landing, and then they continue up to another second floor. That landing does have a door leading off of it, and that's the way you hear muffled voices coming from, and the sounds of someone crying out in pain.
I'm going to go through those doors.
I am following very closely behind Kennedy.
I'll give you mercy.
Sweet. So as you do, you see in the room you see four people. There is looks like another big troll wearing the House Baylor colors. He looks wounded. Across from him is it looks like a satyr wearing House Lanan colors. He's now on the ground bleeding out. Over in the far corner near some sitting areas, looks like a tall, thin woman, pale white skin, black sunken eyes, very thin, long, flowing black hair, wearing black lace. And in front of her is standing kind of like doing a productive stance. Seems to be a 16-year-old wearing biker gear, like street bike, like racing bike gear, and seems to be holding he's got a scabbard with a sword that's sheathed at his belt, but he seems to be holding a Glock and is firing at the troll.
Oh.
Ah, hell, it's a leech. I mean, Aaron knows she's not a leech, but
She looks like a leech.
right, yeah.
So it is the top of the round because you just spent rage actions running upstairs. Kennedy, what would you like to do?
Oh, Jonesy, for what it's worth, our initiative trackers don't. When you switch pages in Roll20, they don't transfer over for us. You still see them, but
Okay.
we don't.
Cool.
Just so you know, I don't think it matters terribly because we remember the order. There's only 3 of us, but
Yeah.
well, there's a troll wearing Baylor, and it looks like he just dropped the House Lanan person.
Yes, it looked like it was a satyr. He was armed for combat, but he obviously wasn't a match for the strength of the troll. The troll is wearing armor, has a sword. Yeah.
And is being shot at by one of our unicorn friends. So I'm going to leap on him from behind, doing kind of one of those, lifting the gladius up to just drive it down into him from behind.
Cool. So go ahead and make me a combat roll. And just so you know, this is a mezzanine area, so the area right next to you, right here south of you, is actually down a floor.
Okay.
So it looks into like a sitting room, sitting area, parlor type room.
Okay.
That's really
There are
cool.
basically there are bookcases lining the walls and stuff like that. Looks like a reading area. So
That would be 3 successes on the to hit with the Gladius. That would be 6 lethal as I drive it into him from behind.
sweet. And with that, he drops to his knees. He's not quite out, but you drive him down to his knees as you bury the Gladius into him. So, Dell, what would you like to do?
Kennedy is also going to call out to the other folks and say, "We don't have time for introductions, but we're no friends of House Baylor."
So,
Because I'm hoping
Well-
about it.
Well, so Dell's first instinct is to go lay a mother's touch on the fallen fellow right in front of the troll. And if nobody is actively shooting at the moment, he's going to just do that and go in mother's touch.
sweet.
The fellow
Awesome.
who's bleeding out, because people bleeding out is not much.
But we don't like Lenons.
Well, I don't really care.
No, it's fine.
Dell doesn't have the scorecard.
Dell just doesn't give a shit. But somebody's bleeding out. They probably shouldn't be bleeding out. We know who the bad guys, the really bad ones are. So, yeah. Actually, no, I don't
She
think.
looks like a vampire. Go do something about her.
Actually, I mean, to be fair, the other thing, his first instinct was probably to help the fallen, but honestly, then the other fellow started shooting. He's just not really interested in gunplay.
Fair. And he hasn't. I don't think he's shooting yet. But
Well, he was shooting at the troll, I seem to recall.
right. Yes.
So if that's the case, then actually Dell's probably more likely to just jam weapons. He really hates guns. He does not like he doesn't like the noise.
Don't jam my hammer, Dell.
Oh dear.
Don't think he actually can be that selective.
He can. He can.
No, he can't. Hey, fortunately, you probably won't need it. No, we'll mother's touch the bleeding fellow. I will let that. I'll let that go for now. So that'll be only a single success.
Cool. Sweet. The troll tries to just do a back swipe at you, Kennedy.
Okay.
Are you gonna do anything to?
I'd rather not burn all my rage, so probably not.
Okay. I'm going to need you to make me a soak roll, please.
Okay. That is
Sweet. Slashed at us. It stains your fur, blood. The red, but and with that, Darren, what would you like to do?
point of order. I'm actually in Glabro, so I'm not particularly furry yet.
Okay.
Furry enough.
Yeah.
I know Kennedy was telling Dell that he could attack this lady.
That was actually more Aaron telling Andy, but
Yeah, and
I am going to go and attack the lady with the gun.
I don't.
So
It's not the lady who has the gun, is it?
no, it's the unicorn guy with the gun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to attack the guy I'm going to attack the lady who's being shot by the person with the gun.
so let's back up a little bit. Currently, she was over in the corner.
He's guarding her. with-
He's
Yeah.
trying to play cover and protect her,
Gotcha.
and he's shooting at the troll.
Yeah,
I
he was-
misinterpreted what was happening. Okay.
Yep.
Cool. Then I will
That's
attack the
why
troll.
Guns are bad.
Hey, the
comfortable.
troll is still alive.
Yes, he is still up.
Death to trolls. 4
I'm
successes.
This
Ow.
is a triumph.
Darren smash. Or
Wow.
not.
2. Look at all those ones. 2 successes.
That is a lot of one.
2 lethal damage.
Success.
You got the one really good roll this combat, and that's apparently you tapped out the dice.
Look at all of the blood in that man's mustache.
So, and with that, my member of House Scathage will go. Oh. And you hear a blam! And then you hear a thud as the troll hits the ground.
I loosened that up for you.
And because Darren is still in Krynos, he literally fires the gun and then kind of does this with the gun, the hands, and kind of spreads them open, like palms up. He still has the gun in his hand, but it's definitely not. It's pointed toward the ceiling and like don't come rip out my throat.
Mm. I will not come and rip out their throat.
So, Candy, what would you like to do?
Like I said, we're no friends of House Baylor. Who are you? This is directed more to the woman than to the guy with the gun.
And you see her say something, but you don't hear it.
Do any of the rest of us hear it?
No.
Does the motocross boy? What does he look like again?
He looks like he's about 16. He looks like a surf bro.
Okay. You pretty boy. Who is she?
This is Lady Anessa. What are you?
We're Guru. We were here looking for answers, and we know that we're not friends with the Baylors. I understand that someone is looking for Lord Devon. Where would I find them?
And almost as if his ego is on cue, you hear pop, 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 flash, 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 and you see several flashes of light and pops come down from downstairs as a rather arrogant-looking she noble appears, and surrounded by him is about 6 of the Scathages in full armor. And he's like, "She got it. Move out of my way, out of my way!" And the Scathage open up, and he starts heading towards the spiral staircase that comes up. So, unless you're reacting or doing something, let me know. But he's going to start making his way up.
I'm standing there in basically a fencer's guard position with my Gladius. Like, I'm not ready to attack him, but I'm also basically doing there is going to be a piece, we're going to be at least a sword apart.
So, he gets up he hurries up the stairs to about the 3/4 point of the stairs. He's about 3/4 the flight up. And then he starts to slow down. And as he starts slowing down, his hands go away from his body. His hands go palms up, so you can see that he's not armed. He is wearing, he has got a sword on his person, but he's not currently, has it drawn, it's sheathed.
Sure.
He is dressed in very fine, modern dress clothes. And as he comes up, he slows down as he gets to the top and starts making his way off the steps. Oh, I did not expect you to actually come, and definitely not while my cousin was trying to kill me.
Right. About that. We haven't actually met other than inside dreams and visions.
Correct? He seems like as he's trying to puzzle out how to say that. We I I have never met you.
Right. I have a
I
feeling that there is a conversation that you and I need to have. I'm not 100% certain that it's going to be pleasant. On the other hand, if someone is trying to kill you, I think we probably have to deal with that first.
well, I'm pretty sure that you showing up and laying waste to this is going on, and luckily my allies were able to get me out, and well, now my cousin will have to deal with my sister Rachel. But where are my manners? Um, I am Lord Devon Mayfair, and kind of does like a half nod bow of House Lannan and of the Mayfair lineage. Uh, Welcome to the barony of the Golden Sun, the barony of the Golden Coast in the Kingdom of Pacifica. Um, you are welcome in my lands.
Kennedy is hating herself even as she does so. And we'll shift from Glabro back down to Hamid. And kind of half curtsy. I mean, she's wearing, leather jacket and jeans. She's not wearing a dress, but kind of half curtsy. Blood on the dance floor. These are my pack. And she will gesture behind her. That's Nexus Slayer. And Dell speaks softly. By the door, you probably would have seen. Damn, what was Killian's name that he chose?
I don't know.
I liked it.
I like to imagine that he was live tweeting this whole thing.
Oh, of course it was. I think it was something like Chrome claws or something like that.
Oh, you know what? It's probably not.
So with that, he's like, there's a lot, I guess, I need to explain, and so I am of the Mayfair lineage within House Lannan, though some others of the Mayfair swear fealty to other households, such as my cousin who swears fealty to the House Baelor. In the distant past, well, let me just say this. I'm kind of a self-centered, obnoxious jerk, and I know it, and I'm okay with it. But I was far worse in the distant past. And I believe I crossed paths with your family line. And yeah, that was a whole big thing.
That would explain certain visions I've seen from my ancestors.
And in turn, since your family line and the Mayfair family line have crossed paths multiple times, enemies of the Mayfairs, or specifically me, I tend to piss people off, went after you to see if they could use you as a weapon against me. I don't think they counted on the fact that you are a lupine.
Right, yes, I don't it did not work out terribly well for them.
So,
Does that mean that my ancestors who crossed paths with you were not?
some of them were, some of them were not, some of them were kin. Specifically, I may have had a, let's say, one-sided relationship with Moira Killian. Um, who you bear a striking resemblance to.
Does that name actually like hit me as an ancestor that I've or a past life that I've remembered?
Vaguely. Images of a white dress.
Okay. And a silver choker.
Yep. Kind of, but yeah. It's like that was more of a maybe like a twisted mockery of that.
Gotcha.
So yeah, I and so at that point, one of the Scathach Knights just starts shooting Devin like daggers, like visual, like just giving him the evil eye kind of thing, and he's like, so apparently I'm supposed to apologize for treating you like shit in the past.
Apology accepted, I suppose.
So it's I'm still coming to terms with this whole thing, and he's kind of like looks down at his hands and stuff.
I can relate.
I'm like millennial old, but I'm also like 25.
And I'm 19, but have memories from ancestors tracing back almost as long. I kind of understand.
This whole changing way thing that we had to do is just, yeah. But by all means, if you please come, I feel like I owe you at least answers we can maybe give you. Our soothsayer is and kind of gestures over towards the woman, the pale and tragic woman. Might be able to help give you some answers, and
that's what we came here looking for. I take it then that you're the one who sent this, and she'll hold out the key/coin.
Yes, but I didn't actually think it would find you.
Funny old world we're living in, isn't it?
Figured I'd try. After that, our soothsayer is quite gifted with onomancy as well. And after that bizarre ballroom with that shadow creature, I think it was one of your kind, maybe?
Related, yes. We've been spending the past few months dealing with that thing. So. Yes, let's make sure that nobody else is trying to kill anyone, and then perhaps sit down and have a talk.
So, and with that, as you look around, they're definitely cleaning up the bodies and and putting the freehold back in order. So, and yeah, and they'll find a spot, and the group of you can sit down, and so I can tell you personally about the distant past and about pretty much like the last 5 or so years. But anything that would have happened after the Industrial Revolution and until the 60s, I pretty much can't go into.
Fair enough.
I wasn't here. We weren't around. It's complicated.
I don't think
But
most of the people who were there in the 60s remember it either.
Well, we're talking about a period of a little bit longer than just the hippie field years. And I think it's actually more that they remember things. They were back around the hippie field years, from what it sounds like. And I do understand because, again, there's this same sense of being very young and yet thrown into something that is very, very old. I mean, yes, I want to know how my family got involved with yours and all of that. But we're also in the midst of trying to find answers about some very, very powerful worm spirits and their servants. And Kennedy will give the quick overview version of everything involving the heralds and all that, and the yeah.
So, with that, they'll take you over and find a nice area, and it will be the 6 of you, the pack, uh, the soothsayer, and Devon. And the soothsayer will actually, and now that you're closer to her, she looks emaciated, thin, bony, sunken eyes, dark black rings around them. And like I said, she's got veils and lace and dark and tragic.
What's wrong with this girl?
Madeline Kahn is no longer alive to play her.
Well,
And they he will basically, Devin will let you know that she's a Sloa, which is a specific kind of fae. And as she speaks to you, I won't do it because I actually want to make sure you hear me, and the audience can hear me. But she only speaks in whispers, which is why earlier when she was talking as loud as she was talking as loud as she could, but it was still a whisper, and so you were across the room and couldn't hear her.
I might have heard, but somebody has been firing a gun. So
right, yeah.
So she will take your hand and will start looking at your palm, and as she does, she slowly pulls her hand across it, and as she does, you see almost like a thin thread of like spider silk kind of warp out from it, and as she does, it kind of shimmers and glimmers and stuff, and kind of warps and loops on itself to make shapes. You're not quite sure how it does it, since it shouldn't physically possible to do, but it takes on the shapes of several glyphs. It takes on the shape of a Fianna glyph, a Getafenris glyph, a Silverfang glyph, and a White Howler glyph.
Well, that's something you don't see every day.
What does it mean?
And as she's talking, but you're really difficult to hear. But she and Devin kind of chimes in to kind of speak on her behalf. It seems that through the years, your family has mingled with other kin and kinfolk, and your family lineage, cousins, distance, uncles, aunts, great aunts, the blood of many tribes flow through your veins, which is not uncommon. But given the geography from whence you came,
Mhm.
These are the tribes that you call kin. Some are closer, some are farther distant relatives. Um, so, um, so she's getting a sense of how your family flows, and and as she does that, she whispers something to Devin, and he just kind of gets his eyes kind of get kind of big for a second. So apparently, when I first encountered you, your ancestor was the Lady Moira Killian, Cullian, um, was a member of what your kind call, I guess, House White Howler.
Oh,
Surprise! Surprise! Surprise!
well, that's not exactly something I was expecting to hear today.
Um, well, she was a quite stunning woman, and I was quite taken with her. So I may have tricked her into an oath because, yeah, I'm kind of an ass.
But
But
getting better.
I'm working on getting better. Um, uh, so, but you said you specifically had concerns about this countess that works for this worm creature you've tangled with in the past.
Yes.
And with that, the uh, the soothsayer again draws her hand, holding your hand, and slowly draws her hand across your palm, basically fingers to palm, palm to fingers, as they slowly like looking at the ley line, the lines in your hand. And right as she reaches the tip of your fingers, you feel a sharp prick as something stings you, and then she pulls her finger over, and a couple drops of blood fall into a chalice. And as they do, they ripple, and she pours it into a bowl, and you can see images kind of dance across it. Um, and as you're looking at it, you see a image of you of your ancestor wearing a brown leather bomber jacket, flight jacket, engaged in combat with what looks like a vampire. Um, uh, and the vampire, and it looks like the combat's taking place in some sort of jazz club. And and I say that because you see people in the distance, kind of like vague images of people in the distance, kind of running off, and some of them wearing flapper dresses and things like that.
Mhm.
And as she's doing, they're fighting, and she goes and tries to stake her, and you see another woman kind of step in the frame and fires a gun, a little Dillinger, at you, and you recognize that person. You've seen her before. She currently owns a nightclub in New York City called Nothing Shocking.
Oh God. Of course.
Um, and it looks like this was a vampire hunting ground that you had infiltrated and attacked. Um, and during the course, it kind of fades in and fades out. But she tries to get some other images, and it does appear that your ancestor was able to kill this vampire, the one that she was engaged in combat with, who looked kind of much more of a brawler, much more of a street thug kind of
Mhm.
uh, and then was eventually hunted down and killed by the owner of Nothing Shocking.
Fantastic.
And with that, you see the image just kind of swell and change, and you see what appears to be the ripples kind of form in the pool, but the shadows of the ripples form almost what looks like glyphs, um, as it kind of warps and ripples back onto each other. And it seems to be the devourer of the eater souls glyph, and several smaller glyphs ringing around it. And as they ripple out and then clear out, you see a glyph you've never seen before. It looks like some sort of star glyph,
Hmm.
um, but you don't recognize. And with that, almost at an audible level that's easy to hear, the soothsayer is, they will return with the rising of the red star.
Well, that certainly sounds like a prophecy if I've ever heard one.
And then she reaches out and grabs, like with an iron grip, grabs a hold of Devon's arm and looks over at him and goes, and with the rising of the red star, winter fell across the lands of Korea, and the eye of the worm opened, and fires consumed the lands of autumn. And Devon turns pale white.
I'm going to assume that means something to you.
And then she kind of goes and just kind of slumps in her chair. And then she tries to push everything away, and like she definitely needs like I need to get out of here. Um, and with that, Devin will wave over one of the scathage to take her away.
I'm taking it that the references to winter and the kingdom of autumn mean something to you that it doesn't necessarily mean to me.
So with that, yeah, he's yeah, and we'll take you to another part of the study area where you're sitting, and we'll show you a map. I have a map.
Helps to have a map.
Maps are cool.
Maps are cool.
I have a map now. Maps are cool.
Maps are
Find
cool.
out.
Return what you have stolen.
Show to players.
Ooh. Oh, hey, I've seen that map.
Yes, you have.
Kennedy hasn't, but I've seen that.
Yep. These are the lands as we know them. We call the lands the Kingdom of Concordia. Is I don't know how to explain it that makes sense to lupines, but the reality is layered, and we can go to a place we call the Dreaming, which is on the other side of the lands of mortals. It's
Yeah, that's not as foreign as you might think it is.
it's where we draw our reserves of power from, and is what helps us be able to sustain ourselves in these lands. Um, for the mundane world, what we call the mundane world, also can sometimes call it the autumn world, is almost toxic to our kind and can obliterate our souls. Um, to sustain ourselves, we've actually, uh, well, put ourselves in mortal shells. And he kind of looks down at himself. Um, whereas in the times past, we were creatures of pure glamour.
Yeah, Kennedy's trying not to give anything away, but it's like, yeah, this isn't as foreign as you might think it is.
Um, you are currently in what we refer to as the Duchy of the Golden Coast, which is part of the Kingdom of Pacifica. The mortals around us refer to this as the city of San Diego in the state of California.
Right.
We have a prophecy that one day in the not too distant future, a great winter will seize the lands, and the dreaming will slowly die as the glamour is sucked out of the world.
Kennedy will just kind of look over at Dell and say, one might almost call that an apocalypse.
That all sounds familiar.
So, um, so I don't know if this red star she speaks of, or if this eater of souls, but it sounds like some sort of giant Fomori from Legend of the Past.
Yes, yes, it does.
But um,
I was expecting you to tell us something that was a great deal more foreign than it ended up being.
I'm sorry to disappoint.
No, don't be. I mean, not that it's good news, but I suppose for what it's worth, then myself and the rest of my pack, we're going to do our best to keep this Fomori from being a problem.
Um,
Our
well,
people have myths and legends about the end of days as well. And that's what we're here to do, is to try to stop it. Or at least stop it for as long as we can. So, about this oath, is that going to be a problem for me in the future?
I don't think it will be.
Good.
And I only say that because as our soothsayer mentioned, the one that made the bind that I bound in my oath, hailed from the house Howler. Um, so I don't know. I don't feel the same tugs of glamour that I would expect to feel from someone under an oath to me. But
All right. Well,
is if I mean I can have some of the more skilled sages of our um, kind look into it, but
think I think we're good. Uh, I think I'm content with the answers that I've received, and would be happy to depart from this place in friendship.
Not what I was expecting, but
What were you expecting?
honestly, I was kind of expecting you to, well, try to rip out my throat when you first saw me. So,
I'm not going to lie, the thought did cross my mind, but that seems to have been based on who you used to be and on someone who I only have memories of. So, unless you're particularly disappointed, I think I can pass.
no, I'm good. I kind of like breathing.
Then I would be happy to, as I said, uh, part ways in friendship and, you know, maybe buy a girl a drink sometime in the future.
Certainly. This is so going to piss my sister off, too. Bonus points.
Eh, happy to help with family squabbles. Um,
So, and not to sound like an ungracious host, but is there anything? He looks over at Dell and Darren and Killian. Is there anything else I could? I seem to have drug you halfway across the world for, well, something that could probably have been a phone call.
this quest could have been
This
an
quest could
email.
have been an email.
Very nice.
One of our quests a couple quests ago was literally an email.
Well, I mean, it does sound like we helped prevent someone from killing you, which is probably better because I wouldn't have gotten answers otherwise.
Yeah, I'm satisfied as long as Kennedy is satisfied.
Yeah, we did kind of burst.
What was that, Dell?
Oh, as we did sort of burst in and sort of slit up the place. That was fun. So
Again, we had an invitation.
yeah, I didn't say we broke in. We just burst in.
Oh, yeah.
We entered with force.
Fair. Oh.
I believe my Scathach allies referred to that as gusto.
Hell.
Ooh, I learned a new word today.
I think I actually might owe you an apology.
But I do know that appears that the vampire who did a first attempt to attack you in New York was under the direction and well, allies of my cousin. She hails from the Kingdom of Apples, and we'll point to on the map, which is
Supposed to be a map.
which is the
New England for those at home.
Yes.
It pretty much runs up from modern day New York up the coast. So it's New Jersey, New England, Pennsylvania,
Up through.
New York City.
Yep.
New York City.
I can arrange for one of my allies out there to deliver some, well, to do some recon and deliver possible locations that she might be hanging out in if you do want any kind of payback.
I wouldn't say no. Although I feel like there's also a leech that I have to have a discussion with.
So
Huh. No, you've certainly. I can't hold you responsible for something that might have happened when you were not entirely who you are now. And like I said, happened to an ancestor of mine who'd be dead and buried for hundreds of years. You've given me a great deal of information, and so I certainly see no reason to bear any grudge towards you. And I appreciate you hoping to extend an apology, and consider it freely accepted.
Excellent. Well, if you and your pack are not a huge hurry, I would be glad to take you out for dinner and show you around.
I've heard terrible stories about what happens to people who are foolish enough to accept food from the Fae.
We would go to the mortal realm and make them cook for us.
That I could accept.
So, unless the pack says otherwise,
Look
he
at
will.
Dell and say, "You're gonna have to wear some pants."
Dang.
So with that, he will um, take you out and take you and show you around uh, his duchy, as he calls it, which is basically the city of San Diego. He will take you out to the beach and a nice five-star restaurant on in La Jolla on the beach where you can um, uh, where you basically eat and can see the ocean and have an amazing steak and all that stuff. And as you see people walking around, you see most of them seem mundane, but every once in a while you see someone with pointy ears, and you see someone with little horns, and you almost feel like that. Even though you're on the mortal side, that's having spent some time in the freehold, there's some lingering effects where you can kind of see through some of the guises. You see someone that's running around, which looks like they're wearing a windbreaker, but as they get to the periphery of your vision, you realize it's a seal pelt kind of draped over their shoulders, um, and things like that. Um,
Cool.
and you have a nice evening, and he will tell you of a national park a couple hours east of where you're at, which is supposedly to be an enclave of Guru if you need it to find a way back. Um,
Would probably be easier than tapping out Darren's credit card to get a flight.
We are not putting Dell on an airplane.
That too.
declined, declined, declined. Um, yeah.
Yeah.
So
How would yeah.
so with that, the pack is able to make their after you spend a little time. He seems to be pleasant, if a bit arrogant and full of himself, and he does seem to be a little bit not quite sleazy, but very flirtatious with most of the wait staff. Um, uh, Things like that. Uh, he seems to be on like he's being trying really hard to be proper and stuff with the pack, but most everyone else he seems to be a little bit more flirtatious with, and then we'll arrange for you to have a jeep that you can drive out to the um, national park. Where you will meet the local. There's a small pack of guru out there. There's a small, tiny little sept out there, where you're able to get a moon bridge back to New York City.
Okay.
And that is where we'll call it tonight, where you make your way back to New York City. And then next week we return for our final episode of this season,
Woo!
um, where the pack can decide whether or not to deal with vampire shenanigans or Fey people who put out hits on kinfolk, or anything else they might need to deal with as we wrap up the last threads of season 3 of Born of Rage.
What a time.
Couple quick announcements. Tomorrow night we have a brand new show beginning. It's Monster of the Week. It's super exciting. We have a brand new storyteller, former cast member on other shows, but will be first time storyteller on our channel. So we're super excited about that. Friday night we have a Friday afternoon. I think it's afternoon that you release brand new episode of Something Dragons, our podcast, which is the
Morning.
Pathfinder play.
Sorry, morning. 6 a.m. is when the new episodes drop.
Oh, even better. 6 a.m. Jumpstart your weekend with some sword and sorcery fun and adventure. And then yeah, we'll be back here on Monday for another exciting episode of another war, our Mutants and Masterminds playthrough. And with that, that's all the announcements I think we have. Unless there's anything else I'm forgetting. Alex, that you wanted to add?
No. Other than go ahead and check out UntoldStoriesProject.com. It's our new website that has all kinds of fun stuff on there. So definitely give that a look if you have not yet.
And more coming.
More coming.
Excellent. Again, and if you like what we do, please let your friends know, share, comment, subscribe, all that fun stuff. You know, definitely helps us defeat the evil worm spirits that is the YouTube algorithm. So.
All right.
Awesome. Well, everybody have a good night. We will see you next time.